Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. I have the only gun on board. Welcome to Con Air.
Hello and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some star Nicolas Cage. I'm Bongo Baikov, joined by our host Maverick Drenzaria. This week we're taking a look at the 1997 film Con Air.
Yep, Con Air. Was released June 6th, 1997, so we're recording this about a month after its 25th anniversary, actually.
Oh wow, yeah, we're only a day off.
A month off.
Alright, that's what... a month and a day, yeah.
A month and a day, yeah. Sometimes you get things wrong when you're drunk. So that's pretty good timing, though, 25th anniversary,
Yeah.
When's the last time that happened?
Did it ever happen?
Phantom Menace, I guess we did that on the 20th anniversary.
True.
A few months after. And it cost $75 million and made $224 million.
That's a pretty impressive return.
And what's interesting, this was directed by Simon West.
And I actually looked into Simon West's filmography beforehand.
Did you notice?
I was surprised. I did notice something. I'll get back to that in a second.
Okay, there was one I wanted to mention that I thought was hilarious. And I wasn't sure if you had looked into it or not.
Yeah, I looked into it just before this. So this was actually the first thing he ever directed, which surprised me.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting that, he got to just right off the bat do a huge budget film with some pretty big actors. But one I liked, he directed Expendables 2, which co-starred Dolph Lundgren, and he was the main star of Masters of the Universe. So there's our Masters of the Universe connection. And okay, the one I want to mention, he directed the music video for the Rick Astley song "Never Gonna Give You Up."
What a legend, honestly.
So that means basically everybody on the internet has seen this guy's best work.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because that music video is pretty amazing. I mean,
it's very memorable. Everybody knows it.
That's one of the most 80s things you can watch. Gosh. So in a way, this guy basically invented the Rickroll. I mean, the original source of it, at least.
So this guy was born in 1961, and he directed that video in 87, so he was 26.
Which I would assume that's why he got the job, was just he did a few music videos, because that's...
Yeah.
There's a lot of directors who start off doing music videos and then moved on doing feature films. David Fincher, who... was we had on the podcast, his first movie was Alien 3. And good. He'd done music videos. I guess the Strauss brothers, who did AVPR, another movie we did on the podcast. But
that's
he
a
has
movie
an
I'd like to
interesting
forget.
filmography, though, because he also did the first Lara Croft movie.
Yeah, I noticed that he had a Tomb Raider movie under his belt.
The best Tomb Raider movie. The only one where Daniel Craig does an American accent. And where Angelina Jolie does a British accent. The casting for that movie doesn't make sense, because they have all the American actors doing British accents, but then they have the one British guy doing an American accent. It doesn't make sense.
I've still only seen the newest Tomb Raider movie. I haven't seen any of the Angelina Jolie ones.
We might have to do a podcast on that one, actually.
Oh boy.
That first one is hilarious. It is so ridiculous. And this isn't the last time he worked with Nicolas Cage either, because he did the movie Stolen, which had Nicolas Cage. I don't think I've seen it.
Hmm.
By all accounts, it's not as good as Con Air, but anyway. then he did the remake of When a Stranger Calls, as well as a few other remakes, I think, like the remake of The Mechanic, I think, was in there, but yeah. And the cast. Now, this is a cast.
This is a stacked cast. Like, I forgot about how many people were in this movie.
I mean, we have Nicolas Cage, who obviously is a god among men. I mean, for fuck's sake, you know. And this was a year after he did The Rock, so he's on like an action movie role.
Oh, wow.
Right here. And then not long after this, he did Face Off, obviously. And John Cusack. Which, that's a surprising casting choice. And he kind of, when you watch this movie, it becomes kind of obvious he didn't really want to be in this movie.
Yeah, I could kind of pick up on that.
He
was one of the weaker aspects of the whole thing.
But we'll get to that. John Malkovich. Now,
perfect casting. Perfect casting.
That's a casting choice right there.
He plays Cyrus the Virus, who's like the main antagonist of the film.
Yep, and we'll definitely be talking a lot about his performance in this. A returning cast member, Steve Buscemi.
Yep.
Who is out of his element. I forgot to include a Big Lebowski reference when we were doing Escape from LA, so I'll make up for it this time around. And he's also a villain in this too.
Yeah.
Not the main villain like John Malkovich, but
he's just kind of a side villain. He's not really working for anybody.
He mostly just acts weird and doesn't do much in the movie, but but
he's a welcome addition.
It's a memorable performance though. Ving Rhames, he's in this.
Yeah. I forgot he was in this, then I watched him like, huh. There he is.
And I didn't realize until the end credits his character's name is Diamond Dog.
Yeah.
Which I hope is a David Bowie reference.
It has to be. Like,
I hope it is, because if it is...
What else could you reference with that?
I don't know. Colm Meaney, who he was in Star Trek The Next Generation, so another Star Trek actor.
Oh, okay.
Which, having him be in this, it made me wish that Patrick Stewart or Jonathan Frakes were in this movie. You know, because that would be awesome. McKelty Williamson, who he was in Forrest Gump.
Oh, okay.
He played Bubba in Forrest Gump.
Oh, okay.
The shrimp guy. Rachel Ticotin, which she was in Total Recall and Falling Down. As well, there were a few other actors I forgot were in this, like Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, no, I saw Dave Chappelle. I was like, wait, is that Dave Chappelle?
It's Dave Chappelle, yeah. Why is Dave Chappelle doing this?
And he just kind of shows up, too. He appears, and then like half an hour later, he's gone.
Same with Danny Trejo. I forgot Danny Trejo was in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, he's in like everything. I mean...
True.
And Powers Booth, he has an uncredited voiceover cameo, like at the beginning of the movie, the very beginning of the movie. And this also marks the first Jerry Bruckheimer movie we've done.
Yeah, that's true. Didn't he produce the film?
He produced the film. I think this was the first movie he did after Don Simpson died, if I remember right. Because they did a bunch of movies together, like Flashdance, the first two Beverly Hills Cop movies, Top Gun, The Rock. You know.
So he was on a bit of a Nicolas Cage trip himself.
Kind of, yeah. And I think this is the first Touchstone Pictures movie we've done.
I think you're right.
And do you know what that means?
What?
It means Disney technically released this.
Oh, I forgot they're owned by Disney.
Yep. They did the, first 3 or 4 Ernest movies, too. Ernest wouldn't be that out of place in this movie, to be fair.
You're not wrong.
I could totally see Ernest being like a prisoner on the plane, or Nash from Ernest Goes to Jail.
Oh, that would have changed the. No, actually, no, it wouldn't have changed the tone of this movie at all.
Not that much.
It would have been the exact same movie.
Ernest goes to. No, well, we already had Ernest Goes to Jail. I guess Ernest
Goes to Con Air.
Ernest on a prison plane. I don't know.
Yeah, just replace Cyrus the Virus with Nash, and then it's the same movie.
But okay, so I guess we can get to our initial thoughts.
I think it's not a great movie, but it's really fun to watch.
That's the thing. While watching it, I'm like, this isn't really a movie you can really defend as like a great, like a masterpiece or anything. But in terms of entertainment value, it's, I mean, damn, it's like
it goes off the wall like every other scene.
I mean, you watch it and you're like, I mean, this is a movie. It's like you don't watch it, and when you watch it, you don't really care about the plot that much.
Yeah.
It's more just the actors. Because the characters are so just eccentric, and there's so many, like, quotable lines, too.
Yeah. This feels like a movie that would have been really fun to make.
And I like that this is our inaugural Nicolas Cage movie on the podcast.
It's an amazing one.
Not because it's my favorite Nicolas Cage movie or performance, but because it has his best hairstyle.
And his best accent.
Oh, God, his accent! Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
Put the bunny back in the box.
He sounds like he's doing a bad Bill Clinton impression.
I was thinking he's like one step away from just being Forrest Gump.
Or Forrest Gump, yeah. They're both from Alabama, so yeah. So, the movie, getting into the recap, unless you had, I guess we'll talk about what we think about the movie while we're through it, yeah. So, getting into recapping, the movie opens with stock footage of military stuff just going on. A lot of movies do that.
Yeah.
Because why not?
And it's basically just an introduction saying, hey, the army, it exists.
And this is where Powers Booth is giving the voiceover. Yeah. And a title card says the movie takes place in Mobile, Alabama.
You ever been to Mobile?
I've never been to Alabama. So,
I've driven through that city before, and traffic there sucks.
Then you hear the theme song of the movie playing, which is How Do I Live?
Yeah.
Plays at the end as well, and that was the big song for the movie. A lot of movies from the 90s, I noticed they have like, oh, we need this big like love ballad.
Yeah.
When it's this huge action movie, and that's the song in this movie.
I will say real quick, now that we've just kind of mentioned the song there, the music is pretty good throughout. It's not fantastic, but it definitely fits the mood.
I don't know how I feel about the theme song, though, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. And Nick Cage, he's just making out with a blonde, just because he's Nick Cage. That's what Nick Cage does.
He can do whatever he wants.
And then some guy in a black cap, he called Nick Cage Huckleberry, which that made me think, is Nicolas Cage gonna imitate Doc Holliday and say, I'm your Huckleberry? Tombstone. That'd be a good podcast right there. Tombstone.
Yeah.
We haven't done any westerns, so...
That's true.
And then you get, of course, a movie needs a really dramatic scene in the rain.
And so he ends up getting in a fist fight with the drunk customer who came up and bothered him earlier, where he ends up killing him.
Yeah. And I wonder, is it cold November rain? And yeah, his face gets blown up. This is also where we find out his character's name is Cameron Poe.
Yeah.
And that's the second time we've had a character named Poe on this podcast.
I was about to mention the one in the Star Wars, his name is Poe Dameron. It's very close.
Yep.
It is very close. You switch around those names, replace the D with a C, and you got Cameron Poe.
Oh my god, you're right. That's true, yeah. Dameron, Cameron. Oh my god.
Alright, so we've determined that Rian Johnson stole the Luke scene from Escape from LA. Now we've determined that J.J. Abrams stole Poe Dameron's name.
Is J.J.
from Con
Abrams
Air.
a fan of Con Air? I mean, hell, he might have even written it for all I know. Because he helped write Armageddon.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's one of the credited
God.
screenwriters on Armageddon. Yeah, he gets sentenced to jail since he killed a guy, you know. Here is something you can't understand, how I could just kill a man. And Nick Cage, we get, of course, his great southern accent.
In an entire montage of him reading letters to his daughter.
While he's eating snowballs in prison. And he's just looking at pictures of his daughter as he narrates. He also starts growing out a fantastic hairdo, and he's just working out.
And he's got like that super stubbly beard, too.
Yeah. He even does origami at one point. And he also references the song Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree.
Oh, yeah.
At one point. You know,
and he ends up befriending
They're
his...
letting him out of prison. Because he's getting paroled, and he bought his... He's gonna finally get to see his daughter on her birthday, and he bought her a stuffed animal bunny.
Yep.
And this bunny becomes a...
major plot point.
He also carries a cardboard box with the smiley face sticker on it, and then they put him on a bus. And then you see Kevin Spacey... John Cusack.
And this is probably one of the most overt exposition dumps I've ever seen in a movie.
They basically gave, like, John Cusack's character and, like, the characters interacting with him all the exposition.
Yeah. Because it's basically just people reading off bios for each one of the antagonists that we see going on the plane.
Basically, yeah. And also the Star Trek guy, he parks in a handicapped spot.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh, what a jerk.
And he's supposed to be from the DEA, if I remember.
Hey, the DEA are assholes, I'm telling you. And they jokingly call John Cusack Dictionary Boy. And he retorts by saying that Thesaurus Boy is more fitting, because he's using, like, bigger words and stuff, anyway. And apparently Ving Rhames' character in this is going to be played by Denzel Washington. In the movie adaptation of his book. Did you notice that?
I picked that up, and I was thinking, how funny would it have been if they actually got Denzel Washington to play the role in this movie and still had that joke in there?
Yeah, sort of like in Arsenic and Old Lace, how they keep joking that the one character looks like Boris Karloff. And in the in the original Broadway play, Boris Karloff played that role.
I was actually thinking about how in the Deadpool movies, Deadpool constantly makes references to Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
As a different person.
Mm-hmm. Wait, they are? I didn't know that.
Actually, at the end of Deadpool 2, Deadpool actually kills Ryan Reynolds before he can accept the Green Lantern script.
Yeah, that probably would have helped, yeah. Green Lantern was not a good movie. This is also where we're introduced to John Malkovich.
Yep. As Cyrus the Virus.
Cyrus the Virus, and they say that he killed more men than cancer. Good lord.
And he ended up, what was it, he ended up earning 2 PhDs while in prison.
Did he? Oh, fuck, I didn't notice that.
I'm pretty sure they mentioned that.
I do know that they kept calling him crazy, because he's crazy.
Yeah.
And you also get a great shot of Nick Cage as he gets off a bus and smiles while his hair flaps in the wind.
Oh, they made that scene so dramatic.
That's kind of the movie. I mean, just like, gotta make it look dramatic.
Now, something that I find interesting, so they like to point out all these horrible, horrible criminals. They never bothered to mention Steve Buscemi's character.
They don't, no, not at first.
Despite him being one of the worst criminals on this plane.
I guess they're just too scared to even mention him, so... And they basically what they're doing, they're just loading all these prisoners onto a plane. Which, great idea, by the way. I can't see how this could go wrong. Danny Trejo is named Johnny 23. Because he's a rapist. He raped 23 women, yeah. Although this ends up leading to another insult that was in that movie Insults app I used to have.
Yeah.
Where John Malkovich says,
For me, you're somewhere between a cockroach and that white stuff that accumulates at the corner of your mouth when you're really thirsty.
Oh, that is such a great line in this. There's a lot of great lines, but that one's pretty good.
And that's another thing. John Malkovich has a very interesting voice.
He does. I feel like Malkovich was, like, handcrafted for this role.
Like, he has a voice, it sounds like kind of erotic, but also just really scary at the same time. Which may be part of that is because I just watched In the Line of Fire again, and he's also a villain in that movie. He's terrifying in that movie.
I feel like he's a villain in everything that he's in.
Well, except Of Mice and Men.
He was a villain in that poker movie. I don't remember what it was called.
Rounders.
Yes. Was he a villain in Being John Malkovich?
He's John Malkovich in Being John Malkovich.
But is John Malkovich a villain in Being John Malkovich?
He's the villain in Johnny English.
That's right! I'm not used to him with having hair. That's why I never remember that.
But yeah, John Malkovich again. He's like... It's a role that... It seems like a role he was just born to play in this movie. I mean,
yeah, it's perfect for him.
What'd be funny is... One thing I was thinking is... It'd be funny if the in-flight movie they were watching was the movie Con Air.
Just like in Spaceballs.
Just like in Spaceballs, yeah. How do we have a copy of Spaceballs the movie? We're still in the middle of making it. And come to think of it, there were a lot of plane hijacking movies in the 80s and 90s.
Really?
You had The Delta Force, you had Die Hard 2, Executive Decision, and hell, this came out in the same year as Air Force One and Turbulence.
That's a busy genre.
Yeah. And then a few years after that, I won't mention that.
You know what movie also had a plane hijacking?
Escape from New York.
Well, that, but also...
I told you not to mention that. Again, that'll be edited out. Dave Chappelle. Oh yeah, that's right. Dave Chappelle's in this movie. I forgot.
Yeah.
Basically, it's just they're all getting on the plane. Anyway, not much of a plot. There's not much of a plot here, is there?
Not really.
That's something I'm noticing and talking about this. But Dave Chappelle, he's like hiding something in his mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know, what was it, like lighter? I don't know what it was exactly.
I don't remember what it was exactly, but he uses it to set the guy next to him on fire to cause a distraction so that Cyrus and some of the other prisoners can escape.
Yeah. He like spits on the guy and like lights him with a match. Basically just causes complete chaos. And of course Malkovich is the ringleader. I mean, he has like a main villain written all over him. I mean, for fuck's sake. And he tells the pilot if he doesn't listen, because he's holding a gun up to him. He says if he doesn't listen, the only wings he'll be seeing are from the flies buzzing around his dead corpse. I thought that was a good line. And then he says he has the only gun on board and welcome to Con Air. So we got a title drop.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that anytime that there's a title drop, that's when the title of the movie should appear on screen.
It should, yeah, that would be funny. Welcome to Con Air. Credits. And Danny Trejo, he sexually assaults the only woman on the plane because, of course, I mean... and Nick Cage and John Malkovich stop him. One guy asks if John Malkovich has lost his mind, and he replies, according to my last psych evaluation, yes.
Yes.
So he's insane, and he knows that he's insane, too. Even better. Man, this podcast is going great.
I feel like at the beginning, it's hard to talk about the movie, because it does start off somewhat slow.
It kind of does, yeah.
But like once you hit like a certain point, then it just kind of ramps up.
Yeah. And Malkovich, he's getting paid by some guy named Francisco Cindino.
Basically to hijack the plane and then fly everybody down to Mexico.
They're just trying to escape, basically. I mean, they're not really... Okay, yeah. That's right.
But then here's another thing. So this guy gets brought up that's financing the whole operation.
And he's not really shown much at all.
No. He has no importance on the plot.
That is weird, though. He's not really... He's the one pulling the strings, but he's not even... Yeah.
Yeah. Again, the plot is not this movie's strong point.
No, definitely not. And one guy on the plane is a DEA agent, and he holds Dave Chappelle hostage with a gun. I was also noticing around this point, there are a lot of racists on this plane.
There are a ton of racists, Cyrus being one of them.
Well, good riddance to them then. Yeah, the DEA agent, he gets killed, of course. I mean, yeah. Although, say what you will about the villains in this movie, they're nowhere near as evil as Manny from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And again, to show how racist they are, the terrorists, they really care about how many white guys they have left on the plane.
Yeah. Because they gotta make sure that the ratio of the guards is correct so that they can pass as the team when they land.
Okay. Fucking racist. And meanwhile, Nick Cage, he's plotting with two others to stop them. There was one good line here. Some guy, he says to Nick Cage, "Fuck you, trailer trash." And then Nick Cage, I liked his reply. He says, "Hey, my mama lives in a trailer." And he also calls a guy a shit-eating peckerhead.
Such an amazing insult.
And the way he said it sounded weird. I wasn't sure what the last word was at first.
It's probably just because of Nick Cage's weird fake Southern accent, just
His
making it impossible to understand.
Okay. His accent in this movie.
The accent is atrocious.
It's not convincing at all. And supposedly he went to Alabama to, like, better the accent, but it didn't help, apparently.
See, I think the big problem is Nick Cage has a very distinct voice. And so even if he tries to put on an accent, it doesn't quite work because it still sounds just like Nick Cage.
Because I saw a movie he was in, Captain Corelli's Mandolin. I think he was supposed to be Italian in that movie.
What?
I think. And he's about as convincing of an Italian as Chico Marx. I mean, it just doesn't. It doesn't. You know, it was laughable. At least I think he was Italian. I'm not sure actually what he was trying to do in that movie.
That's never a good sign.
And Dave Chappelle, he calls the guy Curly.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I assume is a Three Stooges reference.
I think it is. Wasn't the guy bald?
Yeah, that's definitely a Three Stooges reference. Wise guy, eh? The bad guys find some guy who's in the back of a trailer, and he's dressed like Bane.
And it ends up being the best character in this whole movie, Steve Buscemi.
There was one line I want to mention. This guy says, I think it was either Ving Rhames or Bubba that said to Nick Cage, the way he killed those people, they say he makes the Manson family look like the Partridge family. But then we cut back to John Cusack, who's found some message in the eyes of a Last Supper painting or whatever.
Yeah.
Look,
I was a
dude,
little
this is a
confused by
national
that
treasure.
part.
Either, I mean, who cares at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Who cares? I certainly didn't. That was definitely one weakness I thought I found with the movie. It kept cutting back and forth between being on the plane to being on the ground. The stuff happening on the ground
is so boring.
It's not very interesting.
I actually, there's one amazing scene that takes place on the ground.
I don't remember which scene, but when we get to it, I guess.
Yeah. When we get to it, I'll bring it up.
Although they do find... Oh, wait. They find a bomb.
Oh, yeah.
It goes... I forgot about this scene. And it goes off, and you briefly see some fantastic CGI as a guy gets blown away. For the most part, the effects in this movie I thought were pretty good, but that one...
Yeah.
That was the only one that I thought stood out as being egregious.
Yeah.
It just looks really silly. It's still better than the CGI in Escape from LA, though. And then the plane takes off without Dave Chappelle. He just flips them off.
Yeah. Well, he tries to grab onto the plane, which we find out later.
The Star Trek guy calls them Keystone Cops. I was not expecting a Keystone Cops reference in this movie, I gotta say. And he's mad they didn't have guns on the plane. Insert NRA joke, I guess. I don't know.
You see, one thing that I find interesting is they basically show that the DEA was in the wrong, like, the entire movie. Anything the DEA does is immediately shown to be a bad idea. Which makes me wonder if someone working on this movie had a grudge against them.
I mean, Nicolas Cage probably does. I mean, he does mushrooms, so... But, yeah, that kind of tends to happen in action movies. You know, they're just like, you know, the people trying to help, they're idiots, you know. Die Hard, I mean...
Yeah,
the FBI,
all of the cops,
the FBI in that movie just comes off as really incompetent.
And actually, now that I'm thinking about this again, the DEA guy at one point, he mentions that he has full authority to just blow the plane out of the sky if he wants to. I feel like that should be a little bit outside the DEA's jurisdiction.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah. Because it's not like these criminals, like, maybe some of the criminals were drug dealers, but most of them aren't.
And even then, why would a drug enforcement agency have access to missiles to blow a plane out of the sky?
I don't know. The 90s were a weird time, man. You get shots of helicopters flying. No Ride of the Valkyries, though.
Yeah.
And then they unmask Bane. But it isn't Bane, it's Steve Buscemi.
And he turns out to be the most psychotic man on this airplane.
Yeah, he really is. Like,
like I remember at one point he's talking to Poe.
There's a lot
about
of weird
some of
interactions he has with some of the characters in this movie.
I think one of my favorites is when he's talking to Poe and he says, "One girl, I drove through 3 states wearing her head as a hat."
Yeah. That sounds like something like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs would do.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah. But you gotta try really hard in this movie to seem more insane than John Malkovich's character. I mean,
yeah. You know what else I just realized thinking about this movie?
what?
Buscemi acts very similarly in this movie and Armageddon.
Yeah, a little bit.
Especially if you're thinking about the end of Armageddon.
In Armageddon, he's more of a joke character.
Yeah.
But he always had, like, it seems like every movie he's in, he always has this, like, kind of childlike innocence, but also kind of a creepy factor
psycho
as well.
I think the only movie that doesn't apply in is The Death of Stalin.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. That's a really funny movie, by the way.
I know, it's pretty good.
I also like at one point how John Malkovich, he just shouts, "I don't like him." At one point, he also says, "We're going to Disneyland."
Oh yeah, when they ask him where is he taking the plane.
Yeah, hopefully they don't get polio while they're there. Although that does make it obvious, hey, Touchstone was involved with this movie.
Yeah.
So of course Disneyland is going to get a reference. And then he starts, okay, what the fuck was this? He starts singing a song about losing bladder on an airplane. What was this?
I'm not sure.
Was it? I wasn't sure if this was a real song that he was singing or if he just made it up. I don't know, but it was really strange, and
yeah,
but not out of character for Cyrus, I guess. You also get Nick Cage pointing out the racial politics in this movie because, of course,
Yeah. And he was talking to why don't I remember his name anymore?
Bubba?
Diamond Dog.
Oh, Ving Rhames, yeah. Ving Rhames,
yeah. He was talking to Diamond Dog. He was asking him about it. And he's basically just like, there are means to an end.
And also, why is it that whenever Nick Cage talks, he always sounds stoned?
I think that's just Nick Cage's natural.
He just has a voice
state.
like I remember when I was listening to the DVD commentary for The Rock. Every time Nick Cage's voice came on, I was just thinking he sounds stoned. Like he just has this voice that just whatever he says, he always just sounds a bit stoned. Which, but yeah.
And so Diamond Dog and Nick Cage end up going into like the hold of the plane where they find that Dave Chappelle's body is like stuck in the landing gear so it can't go up.
Oh, this scene was funny. They
I love this scene. So Nick Cage starts writing a message on the body and then it cuts to the ground where Major Garland Briggs from Twin Peaks is in a car with his wife.
Oh shit, that was somebody from Twin. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Major Briggs. And so he's basically complaining about the fact that a bird took a crap on his car just like right after he got it washed. And his wife's like, "Oh, it's good luck, honey." And then a body falls on the car, causing just a massive pileup in the middle of California.
I also like how they're playing the theme from A Summer Place over this. The music, it makes that scene even funnier. But before that, there's like at one point John Cusack quotes Dostoevsky, which
Does he?
That felt out of place in a movie like this.
Oh yeah, that line. Yeah, no, it felt way too philosophical for this movie.
Again, it was I when it got to that, like, it seemed like everything they were trying to do with John Cusack's character, it just felt very jarring and out of place in this movie.
He felt like he was in a different movie the whole time.
It did, yeah. I also like how during this movie, John Malkovich keeps talking over the plane intercom.
Yeah, like he's like a stewardess or something.
Oh, that was funny. But yeah, they also, one thing they did, they wrote a message on Dave Chappelle's dead body before throwing it out. So
that they knew, where they were heading, basically.
Which, I don't know if that would work, but whatever. Steve Buscemi gives this weird psychoanalysis monologue.
He does that a lot throughout this movie.
This one, I was like, it was interesting because it seemed like he was trying to fuck with Nick Cage and some of the other characters, Which at this point, you're just waiting for Walter to say, "Shut the fuck up, Donnie." I think it was Ving Rhames. He says to Nick Cage, "What's wrong with him?" And then Cage says, "My first thought would be a lot."
A lot.
Because, I mean, he's creepy. He's really creepy.
He's insane.
But he's also so calm, too. Like, the thing with John Malkovich's character is he's, like, really manic and just...
Yeah.
He's very out there, whereas with Steve Buscemi, you're just waiting for him to, like, snap.
Yeah. It does make me interested on what this would have looked like if Steve Buscemi was in charge of this and not John Malkovich.
Yeah, it would have been very different. That would have made it...
I feel like that'd be a darker movie.
It would have made this a very different movie. You keep waiting for, like, a moment for him to, like, just snap or something, and it never happens.
Yeah.
He's, like, one of the only characters in the movie that just gets away.
Yeah.
Which
I think he is the only character that gets away.
I was, like, surprised, like, at the end, I thought he was, like, going to get captured or something, but no, he just gets away.
They just let this psycho go.
It's like the ending of Silence of the Lambs. When Hannibal Lecter breaks out and he just gets away. The most terrifying character in the movie, and he manages to escape, And we get a boring scene of John Cusack talking to Cage's wife.
Yeah.
Which is just another scene that I was going, he seems out of step with the tone of the movie.
It really does. He's so much more serious than everybody else.
Yeah, he's like... I can't tell if he's, like, taking the movie too seriously or if he's just in I don't give a shit, just give me the paycheck mode. I don't know.
I could see it being that.
Maybe a bit of both. But either way, the Star Trek guy chases the wrong plane and ignores John Cusack's warning. Because again, I guess the DEA, they're just really incompetent in this movie.
Yeah.
He's the Dwayne Robinson character in this movie. Oh, and then we get
one of the best lines in the whole movie.
One of the best scenes in the whole movie. You know what?
So
one of the prisoners.
Yeah, one of the prisoners ends up going down to the hold and discovers Nick Cage's stash of letters and like trinkets. And they find the letter saying, "Hey, you've been given parole." And so he's like, "Oh, this guy's playing us." And so he goes to basically confront Nick Cage about it. And while he's doing it, he's holding up the bunny that Nick Cage bought for his daughter to give when he meets her again. And then we get the amazing line from Nick Cage in his horrible, horrible Southern accent.
I said, put the bunny back in the box.
It's so funny, and he delivers it so seriously, too. Because that's the thing about Nicolas Cage's performance in this movie, is he's not really doing his hyper erratic stuff that he usually does.
It's weirdly subdued for Nick Cage.
I saw an interview, actually, with Nicolas Cage. He was talking about, where he talked about this movie for a brief bit, as well as some of the other movies he was in, and he said he was basically trying to play it. He was basically trying to play the best Southern badass that I can play. And it's so funny that he takes the movie so seriously.
Yeah.
Too, like, especially when you compare this to his performance in The Rock, which came out the year before this, and Face Off, especially in Face Off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they get in a fight. I mean, who else but Nicolas Cage would get in a fight and kill a guy over a stuffed animal?
And when he's done, he says, like,
Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
He sounds like Bill Clinton. It sounds like he's doing bad Bill Clinton impression.
He really does.
I did not have sexual relations with that bunny. We get the scene with Steve Buscemi talking about wearing the girl's head as a hat, which Buffalo Bill. Also, the GCI on the plane looks great. I misspelled CGI in my notes.
It's a great typo.
Yep, GCI. Fantastic CGI. It looks wonderful. The plane lands.
And we get another fantastic line. So, basically, Diamond Dog is trying to kill the cops, and of course Nick Cage is trying to keep him alive. And so John Malkovich is like, "Why do you care so much?" And so Nick Cage ends up saying,
Cyrus, this is your barbecue, man, and it tastes good.
But I was just saying to Mr. Dog over here that if it was my barbecue, I'd wait for that old jumbo jet in the sky before I start killing our only leverage.
That "it's your barbecue, man, and it tastes good" line is so great.
I mean, that's such a Nicolas Cage line right there.
It is so incredible. Like, I can't really imagine any other character delivering, or any other actor delivering that line and getting away with it.
Besides maybe John Malkovich. He gets some pretty good lines in this movie, too.
Yeah.
And then Steve Buscemi. I misspelled his name in the notes, too, apparently.
Oh, yeah, his scenes. Oh.
He sits down at a little girl's tea party, because the plane crashed. Or no, it landed. No.
Yeah, no, it just landed in that
The plane
field.
landed, yeah. And he goes and sits at this little girl's tea party, and I was hoping he'd say, "How do you do, fellow kid?" or something. And in this scene, he manages to be both creepy and innocent at the same time.
It's so weird, and his lines are really weird, because at one point, the little girl asks,
"Are you sick?"
Why do you ask?
You look sick.
I am sick.
You take medicine?
There is no medicine for what I have.
That's a terrifying line, right there.
it's such a disturbing line to hear.
But she doesn't know, that's the thing. It's like,
Yeah,
she just
it
doesn't know
such
who
a
he is.
creepy scene. Again, this felt so tonally jarring.
It goes nowhere.
From the rest
too.
of, I know. After this scene, it's done.
It's just there. It there's no reason for it to be there.
It feels like a different movie was being made and they left the footage in.
That's kind of how I felt with some of John Cusack's scenes too.
So apparently
But
this is some
for
sort of
fuck's
weird
sake,
assembly
John
of 3
Cusack,
different
okay,
movies.
John Cusack's character at least his character intersects with the main plot. Steve Buscemi, he's just acting creepy, and
he's just kind of stapled on for fun.
It's so funny. Yeah.
Oh.
I was trying to figure out because there was a character in the next scene who the actor looked like he was from The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Really?
But I was trying to remember which character he was to see if it was the same actor. It was the guy that leaves Peter Stormare to die. Because he doesn't hear him over the headphones. Carter, I think, was the character's name. Wait.
I'm trying to remember what really happens in this scene.
There's this guy holding a gun to Nicolas Cage. Yeah, it's the same guy. Damn.
Oh, wow.
It is the same guy. I knew it.
So, Nick Cage ends up basically wandering off from the plane, trying to see if he can find
he also makes a Sounds of Silence reference.
Oh, yeah?
And he finally meets John Cusack.
And then I don't think he meets him again until the very end of the movie.
Yep. Hey, that's more times than John McClane meets Al Powell in Die Hard. So.
True.
I feel like that's kind of what they were going for. But this movie was having John Cusack be the Al Powell character.
I could see that. It is pretty similar. How you have the uncooperative...
Not done as well, obviously, because Die Hard's a better movie. Although, to be fair, it's hard to be better than Die Hard. And John Malkovich, he's trying to pull a Flight of the Phoenix and get the ground plane flying again. Oh, this line. This guy is like he says sigh because I think he's going to say Cyrus.
Yeah.
But then John Malkovich finishes it and says Anara and just throws like a match, like blows him up basically.
Yeah.
Sayonara. There's a lot of fuel getting lit in this movie.
Yeah.
I noticed. Like a lot of
explosions. We
get a cool shot of Nicolas Cage running from an explosion. Because of course. Hey, he won an Oscar like a year before doing this, so he gets a pass to have fun here. I don't remember the context for that one. Oh, yeah. I just remembered. Now I remember. Oh my god, this part was funny. Where Cyrus, he's like got like some stuff set up on the ground. He's like showing him. It's like kind of a little diagram he has. And he's like showing them what the plan is, like they do it a lot.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
And then one guy, like, he points at a rock, he says, "What's that?"
What's that?
Because he's saying what, like,
That's
all the
rock.
other stuff is. And then John Malkovich just says, "That's a rock." And he pushes it aside. Oh, that part killed me.
Oh, that part was pretty good.
There's a lot of really funny parts in this movie.
I do feel like, though, the entire scene that takes place on that, like, landing strip in, like, that field, it feels super long.
It does, yeah. There were kind of some long stretches, I was noticing.
Yeah.
But you get more rocket launchers and more explosions. And apparently Cage can dodge bullets by running and ducking behind cars. Because he's Nicolas Cage. I mean, of course.
Yeah.
And then the plane, it like takes off and it carries a car away. And the car crashes, and it's the DEA guy's car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, he had it coming. He parked in a handicapped spot. And then they're just celebrating, having fun on the plane. They're playing Sweet Home Alabama.
And we get another fantastic line from Steve Buscemi. Define irony. Bunch of idiots dancing on a plane to a song made famous by a band that died in a plane crash.
All I gotta say to that is, shut the fuck up, Donnie. And the traitor gets shot. And then we get my favorite scene in the movie, where John Malkovich, he has found a note to Nicolas Cage from his daughter.
My daddy is coming home on July 14th. My birthday is July 14th. I'm gonna see my daddy for the first time ever on July 14th.
During the days after I watched this movie, I kept going back to that clip because it killed me. It was so funny. And then because he's a psycho, he holds a gun up to the bunny.
And he says, like, don't move or the bunny gets it or something like that.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Oh.
This is hilarious. That scene, I mean... July 14th.
July 14th.
If only we were recording this on July 14th.
That's actually a good point. We could have done that.
We had to wait a week. But still, like, with all the bullets going, I was surprised these bullets weren't killing more people.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, I'm pretty sure it's in the scene that's, like, coming up, Nick Cage gets shot and just doesn't react to it. He gets shot in the arm and he just keeps walking forward. I don't even think he blinks.
Again, he's Nicolas Cage. Oh, and this is also where Steve Buscemi, he's still with that little girl at the tea party, and they both start singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands."
Whole world in his hands.
That part was fucking weird.
And that it weirdly comes back too.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But the plane is flying. They destroy the guitar sign on top of the Hard Rock Cafe.
Not the Hard Rock Cafe.
Which, yeah, come on. Why would you do that to the Hard Rock Cafe? It was this point I was realizing, wait a minute, are they flying over Vegas?
Yeah, they are. I was confused this entire movie about where, like, in the U.S. they were until they landed in Vegas.
Because they're in Alabama at first, but then I guess they just end up in Vegas.
California somehow? Because they go to California and then they're in Vegas. But here's the thing.
Bright
Nick Cage committed the crime in Alabama.
Soul on fire.
Because Nick Cage committed that crime in Alabama, so you'd assume that he'd go to prison in Alabama, so I don't know why he's on the West Coast all of a sudden.
Yeah, the plot to this movie. There's like barely a plot. This podcast has been so disjointed, and I think that's just because...
The movie itself is so disjointed.
What little plot there is, I mean... You barely notice while watching it, though, because you're on to the next scene, And then we get a scene of...
I will say, for the most part, except for, a few of the scenes with John Cusack, it's a very fast-paced film.
It is, yeah. There's a few slow bits, but again, that's because of John Cusack. We get an insane plane crash.
And while the plane is crashing, Steve Buscemi singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands."
Yeah, this is where And the plane lands in a casino and ends up causing money to spill everywhere because of course.
And then everyone in Vegas is running around trying to grab all the money that went everywhere.
Yeah, because of course. And then Cage and John Cusack, they meet again. They get on motorcycles and chase John Malkovich, who is in a fire truck.
Oh, that... The fire truck scene is so good.
It's a pretty good chase scene, yeah. The Cage, he stabs him in the leg, and John Malkovich lets out a great yell here.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was really funny. And then they use a fire hose to drown the driver in the truck.
So John Cusack uses an axe to cut open the top of the fire truck and then sticks the hose down in there and is spraying the guy driving the truck.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of like... It kind of reminded me a little bit of the opening of Superman 3, where there's that guy driving in his own car.
Yeah. And then we get, the quickest ending to the action scene we possibly could have. So Nick Cage handcuffs John Malkovich to, the fire ladder. He gets slammed into, a catwalk, falls down onto, electrical lines or something. Yeah, and then he falls down onto some weird,
he gets
conveyor belt.
He gets electrocuted, and then he gets his head crushed by a construction machine.
Yeah, it's what is happening? Did we really have to kill him 3 times in a row? Because I'm certain that any one of those would have taken
It's such an over-the-top death scene, yeah. Money's just flying everywhere, and people catch it. Just like in the Joker parade scene from the 1989 Batman movie.
Yeah.
And this was random. Cage sees his wife and daughter there. And, of course, the love theme starts playing again, and he gives her the bunny, and... Which, I gotta say, that's a hell of a birthday right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to get the bunny back to you in the box.
And then we get one final scene, which is super unexpected.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi, he's gambling at a casino.
Yep, and it looks like he's just escaped.
Again, he gets his Hannibal Lecter ending right there. And the movie just ends!
Yep.
It just ends right there.
So it means the most psychotic man on that plane got away with it.
You don't have Steve Buscemi being put in a wood chipper, or they put his ashes in a little urn, but then the wind blows all the ashes into Jeff Bridges' face. But anyway, but yeah, he gets away in this movie, which is very surprising. Yep. Unless there's a post-credit scene where Patrick Bateman comes out of nowhere and kills him while Hip to Be Square is playing. But I don't think that happens.
No.
Wait a minute, let me go check. I gotta go check some videotapes. But yeah, so yeah, that was a very abrupt ending.
Yeah, it just kind of stops, but overall, very fun movie to watch.
It's a very enjoyable movie. I don't like it quite as much as The Rock or Face Off, but it's a very entertaining action movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty good Cage movie to watch.
And John Malkovich movie, and Steve Buscemi movie.
Yeah.
It's really, for me, it was John Malkovich that stole a lot of the show in this
He
one.
is fantastic in this movie. It's a perfect role.
It's really funny just seeing, such a serious actor just hamming it up this much. But at the same time, I mean, he's convincing as just a psycho.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage, I mean, he's not full on, crazy Nicolas Cage in this, but he's pretty badass in this. I mean, that hair, come on. And he kills a guy in a... I mean, who else would kill somebody in a fight over a stuffed animal bunny? Oh, it's so nuts. Because, I mean, when you really look at this movie, I mean, it's not really the plot barely matters.
Yeah.
It's just an excuse for fun dialogue and character interactions, basically.
Yeah. It's just an excuse to watch John Malkovich be insane.
Yeah, and to see Nicolas Cage being a southern badass, I guess. And to see Steve Buscemi be the creepiest Steve Buscemi, I guess. I mean, good lord, like even in Fargo, he wasn't this creepy. Even in Monster House, he wasn't this creepy.
Even in the death of Stalin, he wasn't this creepy.
The special effects, for the most part, were decent. There were a few CGI shots, which didn't age that well, but it's a little more forgivable here. The pyrotechnics, all the technical elements here are good. It's fun to watch, but as you can kind of tell from this podcast, it's kind of analysis proof. I mean...
Yeah, you basically just have to experience the movie. It's kind of difficult to talk about it in any really meaningful way. Because it's another one of those films where scenes just kind of happen.
It's just, here's a funny line, here's a funny scene,
Yeah.
Some of my problems with, I think plot-wise, it's pretty weak, like we mentioned. Most of the scenes with John Cusack I found kind of boring.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was just his role in the movie, or if I'm just not a fan of John Cusack, or both, I don't know. He felt out of place in this movie, either way.
Yeah.
Like, whenever the movie wasn't on the plane, basically, things were...
It slowed to a crawl, almost.
But whenever the movie wasn't trying to take itself too seriously, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of sheer entertainment value, it definitely delivers. That being said, I don't think this movie is as good as Morbius, which is the greatest movie ever made. Made a more billion amount of dollars.
I love how that movie, people got it re-released in theaters for it to flop twice in a row.
Yeah, it got re-released in theaters. I have actually seen it, by the way.
I still have not, and I never plan to.
I was like, I knew I had to see it, and it lived up to the hype. So we're not doing a Morbius podcast, is what you're saying.
Probably not.
It would be fun too. If you have any more final thoughts, do you have any more final thoughts?
I think I basically said everything that I have about this movie.
There's not much to say, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have more to say with the next few movies. I feel like we will, just because the plot, like...
Yeah.
Especially with Face Off. I mean, the plot to that movie is insane.
It is fantastic.
Gosh. I can't wait to watch that one again.
I actually do have one quick piece of trivia.
Okay. What's that?
So the final scene between Nick Cage, his wife, and his daughter in this movie is actually the first scene of The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where someone is watching the end of Con Air.
That's right. Yeah, I actually did watch that, believe it or not.
Oh, you did?
Which, that was one... I was hoping it would be better, actually, but it had its moments, though. It had its moments. It was okay, but yeah, I noticed that while I was watching that movie that they were playing Con Air.
Yeah, and the bunny also makes an appearance in like that Nick Cage museum.
Yeah. If that movie was just scenes of Nicolas Cage interacting with Pedro Pascal, I probably would have liked him. It was a weird movie to watch too, because it's Nicolas Cage playing
as Nicolas Cage,
but he's not playing Nicolas Cage, he's playing like a fictionalized version of Nicolas Cage. So, this movie has a connection to Masters of the Universe. It also has a connection to the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Really?
Because Nicolas Cage was in Red Rock West, which also starred Dennis Hopper, and he was, of course, King Koopa in the Super Mario Brothers movie. So that's a direct connection right there. Well, almost direct. Like, one movie separated from... This movie was nominated for 2 Razzies, and 1 won.
I'm gonna guess... Oh man, that's a difficult one.
One of them is
I'm gonna guess...
One of them is your favorite category.
Oh, I don't remember what my favorite category is. I'm gonna go for worst supporting actor.
For Don Cusack.
Yes.
And what's your other guess?
I'll
give you a clue. It's a made-up category.
Oh, it's a made-up category.
And we mentioned it in the Batman and Robin podcast.
Is it like worst, like opening score or something like that?
No. It was nominated for worst original song for How Do I Live, and it was nominated for and won in the category worst reckless disregard for human life and public property.
That's such a good category.
It was the winner in that category, I assume, because of the ending with the casinos and stuff. Come on, that's the best reckless disregard for human life and public property. It also got 2 Oscar nominations. Best Sound, which it lost to Titanic.
Okay.
And best Original Song for How Do I Live, which it also lost
to
Titanic.
What? How could it be nominated for best and worst?
It was you noticed that, it was nominated for best original song and worst original song.
And it won neither.
It didn't win it,
Although I guess I'd be more surprised if it won both.
I don't think that's ever happened, but that would be funny though.
Okay, I actually went and looked up that one category. How did Con Air lose to Volcano?
Volcano,
I still very much remember the scene in Volcano where the guy slowly melts into the stream of lava coming after him.
That scene is hilarious. Yeah, where the guy, he tries grabbing on to the one guy, and then he's like, oh my god, it's so stupid. It's so bad. I think Turbulence was nominated as well, and Batman and Robin, obviously.
And then The Lost World Jurassic Park.
Lost World Jurassic Park. Come on, that San Diego ending is great. What are you talking about? And Steve Buscemi got a Saturn Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
That's good.
He lost to Vincent D'Onofrio for Men in Black. He played Edgar the Bug in that movie.
Okay.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's points there. Very gross character there. Good lord. The critical reception for this, Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars.
Wow.
So he liked it. He said, "This is a movie that knows it is absurd and does little to deny it." And apparently Gene Siskel also enjoyed the film.
Wow.
He also gave it 3 out of 4 stars. He called it a mix of The Dirty Dozen, Silence of the Lambs, and Airport.
Yeah, that feels pretty accurate.
That makes sense, yeah. I definitely was getting, Dirty Dozen kind of vibes from it, and Airport, that obviously. And we kept comparing Steve Buscemi to characters from Silence of the Lambs. I mean, That would have made that a much different movie if he'd played Buffalo Bill in that. Jesus Christ. He praised the performances of John Malkovich and Steve Buscemi, but was less praising of Cage, calling his accent unconvincing.
Yeah.
Fair enough. He also criticized the ending for just being wall-to-wall explosions.
I'd say those assessments are fair.
I don't think he mentioned John Cusack at all, but I don't know. He's not very memorable in the movie, to be fair. What do you want to guess?
My best friend. What did he give it a score? I'm gonna also guess 3 out of 4.
You're gonna guess 3 out of 4? As good as Batman Forever?
Yeah.
Wrong. He gave it 2 out of 4.
Oh, come on. You can't tell me that this is a worse movie than Batman Forever, Leonard.
What can I say? Batman Forever had Tommy Lee Jones in it. He called it a mega stupid mega movie, saying that good actors can only do so much with a script this dumb.
Yeah, I guess fair, but...
Dozens of explosions and stunts don't make enough of a difference. I'm not sure what he gave The Rock or Face Off. I might have...
Face Off should be a 4 out of 4, I'm just saying.
It should be a 5 out of 4. This is not the only movie to feature John Cusack and John Malkovich, because they were both in the movie Being John Malkovich.
Oh, I didn't know Cusack was in that one.
A movie where he goes inside a portal and becomes John Malkovich. It's as weird as it sounds. The title is literal, Being John Malkovich. It's such a strange movie. Pretty fantastic, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
This is also not the only movie to feature John Cusack and Nicolas Cage, since years later they were both in The Frozen Ground.
Yeah, I've not heard of that one before.
It's not as good as Being John Malkovich. It's on Netflix right now, if you're that curious to see
really?
It. Yeah. This is also not the only movie to feature Nicolas Cage and Steve Buscemi, as they were both in a movie called Zandali.
Huh.
Which, that one actually might... I don't know much of anything about this movie, but who knows, it might make an interesting podcast. Judge Reinhold's also in it.
This looks like a weird movie.
I'm sure it is.
What is that facial hair on Nick Cage?
Or the facial hair on Judge Reinhold. And not only that, but Nicolas Cage, John Malkovich, and Steve Buscemi have all directed movies at some point.
Huh.
I haven't seen any of them. But if you want to do podcasts on some of them...
I imagine they're all fantastic.
I mean, Nicolas Cage directing a movie? I mean, come on. Nicolas Cage claims he came up with the bunny stuff.
I could see that.
I don't know how true that is, but okay. And something I noticed is apparently John Cusack's brother Bill is also in this movie.
Huh.
I only noticed that when I was because I was scrolling through the cast, and then I saw in there Bill Cusack, and I was like, wait a second, are they related? And apparently they are. He plays a paramedic in the movie. Dave Chappelle improvised many of his lines.
I can see that.
Which, if that's true, he's a better improviser than Val Kilmer was in Willow. John Malkovich was unhappy during production because the script was being rewritten virtually every day, and he had no idea how his character was going to turn out.
Yeah, that sounds like to be pretty annoying to deal with.
This movie was supposed to have the script finished on July 14th. The Las Vegas scenes were filmed at the legendary Sands Hotel immediately prior to its demolition in late 1996.
Huh.
When the production team heard about the city's intentions to raise the historic landmark, they immediately scheduled a multiple camera setup to take advantage of the rare event, which is what you actually see in the movie.
Huh.
This, Face Off, and The Rock are considered by many Nicolas Cage fans to be his holy trinity of action films.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fair assessment.
It's a pretty good lineup there, I mean.
Yeah, that's a great marathon night.
I mean, we're gonna do one of them in future podcasts. I mean,
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we'll cover The Rock at some point as well. It's like one of the only good Michael Bay movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I mentioned this during a previous podcast. Apparently, John Cusack considers Con Air a bad movie and hated the time he spent working on it.
I feel like that shows.
So much so that he barely remembers it. Cusack only did it, 1, because of the money, and 2, to use as leverage in order to make his own indie passion projects.
Huh.
And Zandali was not one of them. I don't know which ones in particular, but who knows. Nicolas Cage traveled to Alabama to work on his accent.
And it didn't work.
It didn't pay off, no.
It was wasted time.
In terms of, like, I feel like whenever this movie's brought up, like, I feel like some people list Cage's accent in this movie as, like, the worst Southern accent ever.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, it has to be one of them. I mean, for fuck's sake. The sight of the planes flying in low formation over the strip during filming caused a number of Las Vegans to call the police. Whoops.
Yeah, I could see that happening. People probably wouldn't be too happy about that.
Wait a second. You have got to be fucking kidding me. Fantastic. This came out the same month as Face Off.
Wow.
The films were shot consecutively from the summer of 1996 to spring 1997, with the two productions nearly overlapping at one point. Oh, that's so funny. I didn't realize, like, I knew they came out the same year. I didn't realize, like, how
close they were.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's pretty insane.
Jason Isaacs revealed an awkward story in an interview about when he tried out for the role of Cyrus the Virus. His audition involved performing a scene with a handgun, so he said he'd use a nearby pencil as a prop. But then the camera assistant offered him a real gun he had tucked under his shirt and his belt. Isaacs said his voice shot up 3 octaves, and he went all Jerry Lewis saying, "Oh my god, it's a real gun!"
What?
He said director Simon West was as wide-eyed as he was. He'd been working with the assistant for a while and had no idea he had a gun. Oh, that's funny.
Imagine that. That would have been an insane moment.
Needless to say, he didn't get the part. Willem Dafoe and Mickey Rourke auditioned for the part of Cyrus.
Dafoe would have been interesting.
I could see Willem Dafoe playing.
Yeah.
That seems like a role that was... It seems like a role that was written for Willem Dafoe, actually.
Yeah. I feel like it'd be a very Green Goblin-esque performance.
You and me can rule this plane, Spider-Man. Yeah, I could totally see that, yeah. Mickey Rourke, maybe not so much, but yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, during Rourke's audition, he improvised by producing a razor-sharp Bowie knife, both terrifying and impressing the director.
What is it with everybody pulling out weapons around this director?
Though suitably impressed, they decided to cast John Malkovich instead, which worked out, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
Although I kind of want to see what Willem Dafoe would have done with...
It would have been interesting.
I don't think it would have been as funny, though.
Yeah.
It would have been creepier. I don't think he would have been as funny. There's
Yeah.
something about John Malkovich and his voice and cadence that works, especially with the, you're somewhere between a cockroach and the white stuff. That line and that scene where he reads the note. That scene just kills me. Oh, it's so funny. My daddy's coming home on July 14th. My birthday is on July 14th. Colm Meaney's keychain has a Star Trek communicator ornament on it.
Huh.
Because he played a character in Star Trek The Next Generation and apparently in Deep Space Nine as well. I didn't know that. But I remember while I was watching this, I was like, wait a second, I recognize that guy from somewhere. And I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, of course, Star Trek. Don Simpson reportedly hated the film's concept.
Really?
When he and Jerry Bruckheimer ended their longtime producing partnership, Simpson was happy to relinquish any ties to the film, which Bruckheimer got the green light from to begin filming for a summer 1997 release.
I feel like Bruckheimer won in that situation, considering the box office.
And Don Simpson also died before the movie came out, so...
Oh, really?
I mentioned that earlier in the podcast. He died in January 1996. Apparently, MC Gainey's favorite role is his role as Swamp Thing in this movie. During setups, Nicolas Cage lifted weights off camera to maintain the physique he had already attained for the film. Entertainment Tonight filmed a report on the film during filming and caught Cage working out between takes. Composer Mark Mancina had to leave the project in the middle of scoring it due to scheduling conflicts with Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Ooh!
Which was slated to open at the same time as this film in June 1997. We know who won there.
Yeah.
And he was replaced with Trevor Rabin, but anyway. Although apparently they share a co-composing credit, so yeah. I guess he might have gotten some royalties from the sales of the soundtrack.
Let's hope.
This is the consolation for having been involved with Speed 2. Did Speed 2 come out the same? Yeah, Speed 2 came out like a week after this movie.
Wow.
Damn. And it did not make as much money as Con Air. Although what's funny about that movie is, for the longest time, the only positive reviews of that movie on Rotten Tomatoes were from Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel.
Really? That's honestly a bit shocking.
They got a lot of shit for giving that movie positive reviews. It's a pretty bad movie, to be fair.
Yeah, I figured.
Willem Dafoe is entertaining as the villain, though. I will say that. To think Willem Dafoe could have been in Con Air, but instead he was in Speed 2.
That is a downgrade.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of, alternate casting choices for
Oh, these are always my favorite.
Cyrus the Virus. Gary Oldman.
Huh?
He was the first choice, apparently.
That would have been weird.
He would have been pretty insane if his performance in Leon the Professional is anything to go off of. Get everyone off this plane. I mean, everyone. Everyone! Yeah, other considerations include Kevin Bacon.
No.
I can't really see
That's hard to visualize.
I could imagine him doing a better Southern accent than Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I can't really see him as Cyrus the Virus.
No, that one feels weird.
Alec Baldwin?
Huh.
I don't know about that one, but okay. Never know. Oh. George Clooney. The same year that Batman and Robin came out, by the way.
Ooh, bad move.
I can't really see him as...
Yeah.
It doesn't really. Robert De Niro.
Huh. I feel like that would have been too serious.
Probably, yeah. Michael Douglas.
That could have been interesting.
That might have been a little too serious, though.
Yeah, it definitely would have been more serious, but I feel like that would still be a pretty interesting performance.
He doesn't really get to play villains too often.
Hmm.
Anti-heroes, I guess. Falling down.
I mean, I'd consider him in Falling Down a villain.
He's kind of he kind of starts off... Oh yeah, because there's that line at the end, I'm the bad guy? How did that happen? Yeah. That is a great movie, by the way. Richard Dreyfuss. No. No. Probably would have just had him playing Dr. Leo Marvin again, like in What About Bob?
Yeah.
I just don't think that would have fit. Oh, that's interesting. James Gandolfini.
Huh.
That would have been interesting.
I feel like that one would have been really serious.
I'll admit I've not seen a lot of The Sopranos, but... I don't know if you have, but...
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
I've seen, clips of it, and that's about it. But yeah. It would have been an interesting performance, though. Ed Harris.
Huh.
Again, that would have been an interesting performance. And this wouldn't be the only Nick Cage movie he's in. Because he's in The Rock.
Yeah.
And he's also in National Treasure 2.
I haven't seen that one in so long.
He's the main bad guy in National Treasure 2, so...
Huh.
Making him the main villain in 3 Nicolas Cage movies. Right there. Rutger Hauer.
Huh.
Again, probably would have been a very serious performance.
Yeah.
A lot of these actors, I feel... Like William Hurt, that would have... Yeah, I don't think that would have worked. Michael Keaton, oh, here we go.
Really?
I could see him as... I could actually see him in that role. Because he kind of straddles the line.
I feel like that one would be a little lighter, actually.
He probably would have been goofier, yeah. I'm imagining his whole performance just being how he acts in that one scene in Batman. You want to get nuts? Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get nuts. I'm just imagining.
I think that...
Oh, man. It would have been pretty funny, but maybe... kind of think about it, maybe that'd be a little too silly, but who knows? Who knows? He's done more serious stuff, though, so... Michael Madsen.
Really? Actually, I think I could see that. Just thinking to like Kill Bill and
I was imagining
Reservoir
Reservoir
Dogs.
Dogs. Whenever I think of Michael
Yeah.
Madsen, I always think of Reservoir Dogs. You gonna bark all day, little doggy, or are you gonna bite? Jack Nicholson. Now that I could definitely see.
Ooh, yeah, that would have been a good one.
That would have been a perfect casting choice, actually. Here's Cyrus. Sean Penn.
Huh?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that
Might
one.
have been a little. Again, I think that may be a little too serious.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman.
Really?
Hellboy himself. Would have been it would have been a better choice than the movie he was in 1997.
What movie was that?
We did it on the podcast, and it's the worst movie we've done by far.
Oh no, I forgot. Oh, why'd you have to remind me of that movie?
I hated that movie way more than you did, man.
I don't want to think about Alien Resurrection anymore.
Don't either, but that's what I thought of because it was the same year. Oh, Tim Robbins.
Really?
So wait,
Andy
Andy
Dufresne
escaped from Shawshank Prison, and then he ends up in another jail and ends up in a prison plane and tries to escape. Just for that connection, I kind of wish that would have.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Tom Sizemore.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know if I know much of what he was in.
I think he was in Saving Private Ryan.
Hmm.
Heat. He was in Heat.
Oh my! Open up his IMDb page and go to his acting credits. Like everything that's recent there.
What? Like announced. Holy shit!
Yeah, this guy has a busy year ahead of him.
He's gonna turn into the next Eric Roberts at this rate.
Why is there so much?
So when you ask what has he been in, the answer is everything.
Everything.
Oh, this is interesting. John Travolta.
Oh.
Based on his performance. And we're gonna do 2 John Travolta movies in a row after this, too. So
yeah.
We'll basically get to see what he would have done as Cyrus the Virus, basically.
That would have been interesting. Just with this and Face Off, it would have been 2 Nick Cage versus John Travolta movies.
Is there a plane in that? Wait, do they? Yeah, there's a plane like at the beginning of that movie.
Yeah.
Fight. So 2 movies where John Travolta fights Nick Cage on a plane. Well, actually, no. John Travolta's technically the good guy in that movie, but we won't get into that.
Yeah, that gets confusing.
That's gonna make recapping that movie really interesting. Peter Weller, RoboCop himself as Cyrus the Virus, and Bruce Willis is also considered.
Oh, that would have been an interesting one.
Has Bruce Willis been in a movie with Nicolas Cage?
He has to have been, right?
I can't think of any.
Yeah, I don't think they've been in a movie together. That feels like a lost opportunity.
Same with like Christopher Walken. He hasn't been in a movie with Nicolas Cage. So
Yeah.
Which Bruce Willis doesn't really tend to play the villain too much in movies.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of alternate casting choice, wait. Which character was Vince Larkin? Was that?
That was John Cusack.
That's John Cusack. Okay. Who could have been in this besides John Cusack? Robert Downey Jr.
Oh.
Very, very young Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Because this is like way before any of the Marvel stuff. It was like Chaplin era Robert Downey Jr. Charlie Sheen. Oh, for fuck's sake.
That would have been a very different movie.
There's a way to make your movie worse. And Matthew Broderick was also considered. You know what? Come to think of it, John Cusack's role in this movie feels like it was written for Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, I could see that.
It feels like it was written for Matthew Broderick, but they couldn't get him, so they got discount Matthew Broderick. Aside from Charlie Sheen, I feel like those would have been better choices than John Cusack. At the very least, you might have gotten a more impassioned performance.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Other casting considerations for Cameron Poe, Nicolas Cage's part. Stephen Baldwin.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So wait, Alec Baldwin was considered to play Cyrus.
Yeah.
And his brother was considered to play... Oh, and William Baldwin as well, apparently.
That's a lot of Baldwins.
Was considered to play Cameron Poe. Tom Cruise. Can Tom Cruise do a better Southern accent than Nicolas Cage? That's the question here.
I honestly feel like the movie would have been worse if it was Tom Cruise.
It's kind of hard to see him in the part.
Yeah, I feel like you need like a weird actor.
It would have to be
play the
rewritten
character
to
accommodate
Tom Cruise. Unless Tom Cruise just really wanted to go really
try
eccentric.
and ham it up.
Yeah. Like what he does in Tropic Thunder. Yeah. Because I don't know if Tom Cruise could do a Southern accent. I can't remember if he ever has. He can't do an Irish accent. I do know that, because Far and Away was fucking terrible. Terrible Irish accent. Oh, okay, here's a casting choice that might have worked. Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah. That one would have been fun to see.
I could see him going for the whole eccentric, kind of stuff. This is pre-Pirates of the Caribbean, though.
Yeah.
Pre-Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but that would have been interesting. Dolph Lundgren.
Huh.
He-Man himself.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
Can Dolph Lundgren do a Southern accent?
I hope not.
He's like Swedish, I think. If I remember right. Brad Pitt. This would have been a few years after Seven. Same year he was in 7 Years in Tibet. He could probably do a better Southern accent than Nicolas Cage, to be fair.
Yeah, probably.
Keanu Reeves.
I feel like Keanu would have been kind of fun to have.
That actually might have worked, I'm not gonna lie. Like, this feels like a movie he would be right for.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that I don't know about that one.
I would have loved to have seen it.
Yeah.
He could probably do a better Southern accent than Nicolas Cage. Oh, here's one person who wouldn't be able to do a better Southern accent than Nicolas Cage. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, you're not passing him off as a man from Alabama.
This is just how we talk down there.
They replaced him with whoever did the voice in that deleted Terminator 3 scene.
Terminator 3. Sergeant Candy or whatever the.
Yeah.
I remember when I first saw that scene, I thought it was a joke. I didn't think it was like an actual deleted scene. Sergeant William Candy. Yep. Oh my god, that is the most. That's one of the weirdest things. I thought you were gonna mention Hercules in New York. The guy
yeah, that
dubbed
one
him in
too.
Hercules in New York. Steven Seagal. Of course, 90s action movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure every action movie that was made in the 90s, they offered it to Arnold, Steven Seagal, Stallone, Van Damme,
Willis, probably.
Steven Seagal would have. Would he be able to do a better Southern accent than Nicolas Cage? He can't do a Brooklyn accent. I do know that. I do know that because I've seen Out for Justice. Speaking of which, Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme were also offered.
I feel like in order to play this role, you have to be at least a little bit weird. I don't feel like they were weird enough.
Steven Seagal takes himself too seriously, so that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've heard like any stories about him, but he's basically a pain in the ass.
Nice.
Like everybody that meets him thinks he's like an egocentric dickhead. Sylvester Stallone, like you said, I don't think he's weird enough.
Yeah. He also probably can't do a Southern accent either.
Probably not. No, I'm gonna guess no on that. I can't recall any movies where he tried to do an accent. Same with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I don't think that with the Southern accent would have. Bruce Willis, he was also considered part of Cameron Poe.
They really wanted Bruce Willis for this movie.
He was a huge star at the time.
Yeah.
The Die Hard movies. And Patrick Swayze, he was apparently also considered.
Huh.
I'm just imagining him just acting the same way he did in Roadhouse in this movie.
Yeah, that's probably what that performance would end up being.
Probably. John Malkovich and Samuel L. Jackson were guests on the Graham Norton Show in 2015. Norton had pointed out to them the fact that they had never done a movie together despite their extensive filmographies. Jackson said of Malkovich, "Well, none of my movies are serious. He's a serious actor." Malkovich replied, No, I was in Con Air. If that's serious, I'm an astronaut."
Fair point.
I can see Samuel L. Jackson being in Con Air, actually.
Yeah, he would have been good.
I have had it with these motherfucking convicts on this motherfucking plane. Oh, wait a second. Is that true? Wait a minute. According to IMDb, J.J. Abrams did a dialogue polish on the script.
What?
I don't know if this is true or not. Okay, just saying that. I have no idea the validity of this.
Huh.
But if that's true, it means he worked on both this and on the script for Armageddon. Oh, during press for this film, now this I could believe. John Malkovich was asked why he did this film. He gave a simple one-word answer. Money.
Yeah.
That's pretty believable.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if he did just do it for the paycheck, I mean, he still looked like he was giving a fun performance.
Yeah.
July 14th. So yeah, that's it for Con Air, I guess.
Yeah, just very fun movie, very weird thing to see, but incredibly enjoyable.
And I'm really excited for the next two movies we'll be doing.
Yep.
Which are we doing these? Are we doing I assume we're doing separate podcasts for both of these.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm about to say, both of them are John Woo movies, and both of them have John Travolta in them. So.
Yeah. And one of them also has Nick Cage in them.
Well, and it also has John Travolta playing Nicolas Cage. And Nicolas Cage playing John Travolta. But yeah, but before we get to Face Off, we'll be doing Broken Arrow.
Yep.
Which I'm still excited to revisit this one,
Yeah, it's a pretty fun one from what I remember.
I remembered enjoying it. I have the Blu-ray of it, so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but I've only seen it once, so. I remember parts of it though. I do still remember parts of it. Mostly John Travolta's performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, until then,
roll the Andy Griffith.
Andy Griffith. Yep. Who unfortunately was not in Con Air. I kind of wish he was. That would have been fun.
That would have been a weird movie.
Or Don Knotts. Just having have Andy and Barney Fife guarding the prisoners on the plane. That would be fucking hilarious. But yeah.
All right.
And
good night, you stupid idiot. Good night, you miserable slob.